Hello everyone, welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. I have said that so many times I feel like I need to start making my introductions a bit more random because it's getting boring. But anyway, it's the weekend. It's been a while since I played, or should I say it's been a while since I recorded this particular mission. I have forgotten what the name of the mission is, but potentially are about to see as we finish our mission preparation. Today I want to talk about a couple of things, mostly to do with the PMC's private military corporations getting jobs within the military itself, and by jobs I don't mean being a soldier, I just mean general jobs within the military. And even though I have no real life experience within such a situation, I would like to theorize as to what exactly could be happening within those situations, military jobs and stuff like that within real life. But before we get to that, let me take a sip of this good old orange juice that I have here. I don't know, I feel that
please select a mission.
People are so crazed about all these energy drinks, soft drinks, all these fizzy drinks. Just think keeping it basic is all you need, really. Just lots of water, lots of fruit juice, and you should be fine. I don't really understand why. I've seen some people who can guzzle down liters and liters of Coca-Cola in a day, and it's like, do you still feel okay afterwards? Like, at the end of the day, what do you feel? But I don't know. I just a note. I can't act ignorant, because when I was young, I was all up in there, all the junk food you could imagine. And I guess you could say it led to my bad health, but I spent the past couple of years trying to change myself, shape myself, get in shape and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to go back to such a lifestyle anyway, back to all the, I can't really say junk food because that's subjective, but all the foods and things that I personally fear or don't trust to give me a good life. I just don't want to get back to that. But anyway, I digress. Before I began, you saw me looking at different things that I had done, development and submission dispatches. This is actually a throwback to Peace Walker when it comes to mission dispatch missions. I miss the minigame. I really miss the minigame in Peace Walker when you'd actually set up your units as your Alpha unit, Bravo unit, Delta unit, etc. You'd set them up, and then you would choose, like within Alpha unit I could want maybe 3 of my guys from the combat unit, maybe 1 guy from the R&D unit, have a tank and 2 helicopters in the unit, and then that's Alpha unit. Then I can go to Bravo unit and be like,
he's offered his technical skills to us as long as we can guarantee his safety. You have to extract the target.
Go into the Alpha unit, Bravo unit I mean. Next thing you know, you're like, okay, I'm going to need 3 choppers, 2 tanks, and 3 spec ops, you know what I mean? You could choose and decide who exactly is within your unit, of which you can still do that now, but it's not as in-depth. The menus in Peace Walker when it came to mission dispatch were just fun for me personally. What really made it fun is after you created that team, then you could go in and then you send them in on their mission, and then after some time, i.e. you go do a mission yourself, a main mission or a side op, when you come back, the mission would have been complete, and then you get to either just see the results of the mission dispatch, which is currently how it stands in the Phantom Pain. You just see the end result, whether you're successful or not, and then you get your results if you are successful. And then if you're not successful, you have to mitigate the damage, like this guy has to go to sick bay, this guy is dead, blah blah blah. But within Peace Walker you could go and play the battle log itself, where it would show your teams fighting, for example your Alpha team fighting the enemy that you sent them to fight, which personally for me is quite cool because it's sort of like the olden day war games. Oh, you have to understand that when it came to war games, this is something that's been evolving and developing over hundreds of years, back before even the invention of chess and other board games. People used to strategize different ways on running not only just military conflicts and military strategy, but minor skirmishes between people, not necessarily military forces, but maybe just how to hunt and how to gather and how to think. People used to strategize, and some people took interest within this, and soon it developed into a strategy. And these strategies, some people actually found joy in creating these strategies in real life situations, to such an extent that they're like, we could actually make this into a game. We could meet as men or as women and play these strategy games that we have, these war games. And then that's when different branches of war games came about, depending on the situation that's at hand. And then the different games were born of these ideas of strategy and war. It's quite interesting. So in Peace Walker, you actually had the chance to play the battle log, then to show like your opponent, your units are taking turns to attack their units, in a sort of semi-RPG, in the sense that turn-based RPG, in the sense that you controlled the units, you know their stats and you set them there. But you don't actually get to control which of your units you want to attack or who you want your unit to attack. So there was an element of RNG, a random number generator, towards that, and it made things quite a bit difficult when the enemies had quite a surmountable force, maybe, and things are looking dire for you, and as you're losing units, oh my word, the stress is mounting. And like, I don't want to lose this guy, and maybe he does die, well, he does drop within the battle, but then after the fight, it's like this guy sustained heavy injuries and there's a chance that he might survive in sick bay. So you're like, oh my goodness, he got a second chance. And then there's some people who are just flat out die. Let's see what this document has.
Nice find. Analyzing the intel file you picked up. We've got a fix on the target. I've updated your map info. Check it on your iDroid.
But anyway, as I was saying, it was a real cool strategy game, and now it kind of devolved into this. Set the units within each dispatch team, and then just set them on a dispatch mission. There's a probability chance of success, and it all takes care of itself. You do not see any part of the process, and you just see the end result. And I feel that it's very impersonal. You don't really get any investment into dispatch missions as you did in the past, but the current format in which it's in makes it such that you can do a lot of dispatch missions very quickly, very rapidly, without detracting yourself from the game. It's sort of like some side management, some micromanagement on the side that you could potentially do and still be efficient enough to complete your missions and upgrade your mother base and your hobbies. In that regard, yes, I understand why they did it. They couldn't make it very detailed, because the more detailed you make something, you end up using up more of your time, which could end up wasting time in a way, because this game is way larger than Peace Walker, even though some of the formats were taken from there. Well, for me personally, Phantom Pain is like the realization of what Peace Walker's full potential could have been. It's the ultimate Peace Walker game minus the Metal Gears within Peace Walker. But anyway, I really like that game on the PSP. Besides that, the dispatch missions do give you good results. If you can be proficient within them, you can get some good GMP and some minerals within them. The one thing I never understood though are the online dispatch missions that come and change from time to time, that can take up to 2 whole days to complete. It's like, I don't know. I guess I can understand what they were going for, but whether it was necessary or not is a totally different story. I'm not really, no. I don't really agree on 2-day-long dispatch missions, but anyway, like I said, doing them or not doing them is all up to you, and it really doesn't change much. Nocticide and Bistrug still in the game though. But back to the mission at hand. Miller told us that there is one scientist who does bionics or robotics, and this scientist is apparently responsible for the crafting of the bionic arm that Big Boss currently uses, the one that Ocelot gave him, and then he got captured after that. So Ocelot tells him that, you know, this guy is the only person currently available in the world who knows of this, who knows this technology really well, and is able to maintain your bionic arm and actually create other different attachments and devices and abilities for your bionic arm. So he's a valuable asset. But in that regard, it kind of brings me into the whole discussion of jobs within the military, because this is a robotics scientist. He's not a soldier. No, well, I would assume they gave him a few self-defense classes, but I'm definitely certain that he has no war experience. It's not like some of these PMC soldiers that are here, hired guns, Russian troops, etc. It's not like them. But it kind of gives me this feeling of, not feeling, but this wondering about how it works within real life, because you have to understand that from what I have researched, some of these let's just say important jobs, let's not talk about mundane ones, some of the important jobs within the military that are available for civilian contractors, for example, like construction, doctors, technicians, engineers, etc. any one of those fields. I believe that currently, as it stands from the recording of these videos, these jobs pay more if you are an engineer or a doctor in the battlefield. Chances are your salary will be way higher than a doctor who just works within a city in a safe zone, because of the danger of potentially dying, of course. But then usually people or corporations try and entice job opportunities for people through advertising and media, by trying to bring people in, like, bring in, if you've got all these skills and you meet all these requirements, come in, you know, there's a lot of money to be made, we need your skills, we need your intelligence, etc. We know you can do it, you're the one for us. People try hook you into that job, and then probably some people try manipulate the system within the marketing and say that, you know, you could earn up to X amount of currency per month or per year, and people be like, wow, I could earn up to this much per year. But most people don't actually go on and research the variance within, or the deviation from the norm of the salary that they're offering. People don't usually do this. They probably apply for the job, maybe they even get the job, and they realize that, wow, their salary is actually way less than what was advertised, but they're hooked in, they've signed the contract now. But I don't personally, in my life, I haven't been exposed to a lot of media and advertisements for military jobs, even though you would assume that it's very easy to hook people in to sign all these contracts for military jobs by just saying, yo bro, there's a lot of money to be made within the military. You would think it's the easiest solution, wouldn't you? But I don't think it is. I guess it could just be the acknowledgement that not many people want to endanger their lives. No one wants to be a technician in the battlefield, going around fixing servers within a war zone, hearing bombs dropping in the distance, gunfire between groups having skirmishes within a battle zone. I guess most people wouldn't want that, but these jobs are necessary. And with the rise of wars between different people, and recently the war in Syria, that different things that are needed. There's the war in Syria, there's the tension between Russia and Ukraine, there are some political struggles within some countries in Africa, and I guess global terrorist attacks here and there. People are always on the high alert these days. No one can trust anyone really. You would think that jobs within these danger zones, or jobs that could potentially have high risk, would be advertised a lot to people, but like I was saying, that's not the case. Then you would wonder then that the people who work within these jobs, what do they do it for? That's the real question. For example, this robotic scientist was working to create prosthetic arms and legs, who ended up helping Big Boss. What was he doing it for? What's the real incentive? Most people would tell you that, you know, I think that killing is not good. But then there are a lot of people working within the military itself, which could in turn put you in a position in which you'd have to take someone else's life. That's just the way it is, being in the military. Okay, guess I got spotted. But I don't know. It's quite interesting. There's a time I was talking to a friend saying that with the way jobs are so hard to find, and this particular friend of mine was a nurse. He had just finished all his schooling in nursing. I was thinking, I was like, since there's all this job shortage, wouldn't it be interesting, or well, not interesting, but wouldn't the military be an option? But he was like, it potentially could be, but working in the military is in magnitudes different than just working in a civilian location. I don't know. It's quite tricky, the recruitment process and how exactly it would work for you to get inside, and how the contract system works, because most armies hire soldiers, PMCs, and really it seems as if the selling of weapons and selling of soldiers in particular really yields high profits. But then most governments will never really tell you that, their dealings within the military and their operations. But I don't know, a lot of money is there to be made, but it's a very hush-hush, very secretive job area. But you always get to see all these games and stories about all these top secret people working top secret jobs. It's quite interesting. Well, at least now we're here to rescue one particular person of that nature. But I don't know, what would you do? What would you do if you're in that situation? And I wonder if annual returns from such areas actually count in a country's GMP, sort of in the same way as how these dispatch missions, you sort of hire soldiers technically by filtering them to your base. You kind of recruit them to your cause, and they start working for you as PMCs for other regions, and your FOBs mine minerals in different regions, and also commit some of the soldiers to different jobs within those regions. And all in all, the return or the turnover and profit comes back to you in your GMP as Big Boss for the mother base. So I was wondering if military work in real life actually yields profit for the country as a whole, and in that case then wouldn't private military corporations' profits be considered as tax evasion? Because technically most of these black market arms dealers and black market PMCs work for no one, and they have no allegiance to any country. There are a lot of international soldiers moving around from place to place fighting different wars. I don't know. Governments don't seem to do much about it because they benefit from it. They can seem like a peace-loving country. For example, if you look at the current state of Germany, they're not allowed to have a mobilized army due to the history the world has had with Germany in the world wars. But that does not mean that Germany is unprotected. There's a lot of secret organizations that potentially work for the German government, and I'm sure there are a lot of PMCs, private military soldiers, private military spies even, that do quite a number of jobs for the German government, and it's all hush hush. That's all it is. It's all under the radar. Definitely not something that's you're going to hear at your next meeting, or should I say speech by the president addressing the state. That's definitely not GMP that's going to be talked about.
Supplies requested.
But I don't know. My question is then, as this person, you've signed this contract, you've taken this risk. If you're compromised like this one particular scientist, do they
detected. Supply drop complete.
Would they risk sending in someone to
complete.
Get you? Potentially they would. And usually this is done undercover.
Analysis complete.
But since you signed the contract, do they really have to? That's the real question. Unless you've got valuable information that could potentially ruin this particular organization that has hired you. I don't know.
You have arrived at your destination.
Could just be rambling and talking nonsense, but so something of interest that I was thinking about when it came to work within the military recently. It's definitely not something that I would not do, as I feel that putting myself in danger is not something I can just readily do just for money. I don't think money is that important to me that I'm ready to die for it. But if I were to be put in that situation, what would be the outcome? What exactly would be happening? And see me sneaking around this person.
Always keep an escape route in mind when you head indoors. If you get surrounded, you'll have nowhere to run.
I don't know. Something I was thinking about in this area. Oh yes, I think that if there were more places in which you could infiltrate buildings, it really would have been nice, because while most of actually I say all of the Metal Gear series had been based upon espionage and spying and gathering intel from these big facilities, these black sites, right? And then this one is kind of open world, but I feel that the stealth within those buildings and facilities was actually nice, fair and fine. It first off started due to the limitations of the technology of the time. It was very difficult to do open world, and for example in 2D with the first Metal Gear games and with Metal Gear Solid, the very first one on the PlayStation 1, I'm sure it was very difficult for them to come up with such an open world within the restraints of their technology of the time. It just wasn't possible, and movement was limited to a certain speed, hence why there was only so much you could do in Metal Gear Solid 1. I don't know, lost my trail of thought. Oh, I'm back. I was saying, now that the game and the mechanics have developed to such an extent as the Phantom Pain, I would think that mixing in indoor and outdoor espionage would have just taken it to a whole new level. Just imagine, for example, you are in Afghanistan, you're doing missions, you're trying to get the GMP up, you're trying to infiltrate Mother Base, and Miller gives you a call saying that we've noticed the construction of another big shell-like structure within the Seychelles, and they're like, we don't know who these guys are. We could send in a unit to go see what's going on, and then of course you agree to this if you feel like you're under threat. Next thing you know, Big Boss is in a submarine, and then is launched in, and then he gets onto this big shell or this tanker, and you infiltrate the tanker, and you see, and then you exfiltrate after you get all the information that you need. Literally a game within a game. Just imagine if there was a military tanker trying to spy on Mother Base. A tanker the size of the tanker in Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, for example, and then you go through that thing as Big Boss just the same way as you did it with the Snake, Solid Snake. I don't know. I would really have loved to do that. And I think it could have been done. Well, technology definitely would allow it. But I guess resources and time wouldn't have either. That's the main problem. Making me think of Metal Gear Solid Online, actually. It's a damn shame that it will be coming out in January.
Take a good look at their faces so we can... There, that's the target.
I don't see this potentially happening, but I personally wish that MGO is well received, first of all. Especially by people who don't actually play any Metal Gear game. I just wish that it's received by Metal Gear fans and people who are just fans of multiplayer online shooters just for competitive sake, because I feel that if it's only played by Metal Gear fans, it might not be enough of a fan base to start anything of significance, because I feel that as much as I hate saying this word, esports are the lifeline to any multiplayer game these days. It feels as if no matter how good a multiplayer is, as long as it doesn't have an esports scene, it quickly just dies. And there are some games that try force a esports thing, a esports scene within the game, but it just continues to fail because the community just does not want the game in any form, shape or size at all. I don't know. If MGO comes around, and even if it's just the Japanese scene, I'm sure everyone else will catch on. And then if there is an online esports scene, definitely then it will go far. It will have some form of longevity. I played quite a lot of Evolve when it came out. I still have the game, of course, and that game died, the online presence died not because that the game didn't work. The game worked, well, I can't say perfect, but the game worked fine, especially at all stages. Even from day one, it just worked. The servers worked, the ping was excellent all the time for me, and really I never saw anyone crying about bugs. But the lack of incentive and the lack of content within the game really, I don't know, it stifled the game. The progression curve in learning wasn't so steep, and on top of that there was not much you could do besides the hunt mode really. All other game modes degenerated into just the hunt mode of the hunters have to kill the monster, or the monster kills the hunters. That was the only thing you could ever do, and most of the time you're just chasing after the monster because you couldn't run after it fast enough anyway. It was all just a game of cat and mouse with no real depth to it after you've learned the game. I don't know. So that lack of content and lack of content and a lack of depth in skill is what really drove the nail down. Because for example, you can look at a game like League of Legends or Dota. The map stays the same, but there is a variety of heroes that do a variety of things, which increases the learning curve. And once you increase the learning curve, people spend a lot of time learning and getting good, which means a lot more playtime. And as soon as that happens, competition arises. Who's better than who at a certain hero? Who's better than who at the whole game in general? Who's better than who? And then leaderboards come up and people now want to know, guys, I've got a team and I think my team is better than yours. Next thing, competition. Next thing, big esports. And I feel Evolve died because of its lack of depth and content. So I don't know. I feel that MGO has to be a bit difficult. And soon in December, Rainbow Six Siege will be coming out. I don't know if I'll be playing that. I love all Rainbow Six games, but I don't know. We'll see how this one comes out. But anyway, I don't know. I've been rambling for too long. This episode wasn't so lively, but if you've been listening for all this time, thanks for watching. I know I might have put a lot more people to sleep, but if you're still here, you're awesome.
The engineer we rescued has been extremely cooperative. The guys on the R&D team are glad to have him aboard. Thing is, his specialty isn't mechanics, but something called bionics, engineering based on biology. He's already submitted a proposal for modifying your prosthetic arm. If you're interested, go ahead and give the development order.